What's up, Leif? How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I am excited that production on this podcast is well underway. And
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I did my first triathlon and my first 100-mile bike ride.
Yeah, sweet.
It was awesome to see that development and feel so much better on my bike and continuing to make improvements in my health as well.
Awesome. What length triathlon did you do?
So it was a very short triathlon. It was just a half sprint. So pretty much the shortest triathlon I could ever do. But it was a good way to get started and test it out. And I definitely want to do another triathlon. I want to do a full sprint next time. And I know I need to continue to train swimming more, as that is my weakest part, as well as training on bike and running. But I really need to prioritize swim training. My goal is to do an Ironman by the time I'm 50, and I'm 36 now. So I'm giving myself a lot of lead time to get there.
You can do it by 40.
Yeah, let's hope so. I think that would be great. The Virginia Half Ironman is in Roanoke, which is not too far from where I'm at in Richmond, Virginia. So that would be feasible, and I know people who have done that one. So I'm talking to a bunch of triathletes and cyclists and having them on this podcast. I know you did half Ironman, correct?
I've done 2 halves and a full.
Okay, awesome. When was the last one that you did? Was that the full?
Yeah, the last one was the full. I did Maryland, Ironman Maryland in 2021. So it's coming up on 2 years ago. Yeah. And that was a cool experience.
Yeah. So having done the full Ironman, is that something you're interested in doing again? Or was it a one and done scenario for you?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. It's something that I think only recently did I become open to the idea of doing another one. That's how much it kicked my ass.
Yeah, I know it takes time. I had another guy on here who did an Ironman about 2 years ago, I think. His name's Mario Mejia, and he's training for his next Ironman now. And I know it is very daunting of a race, and it can be difficult to find the willingness to want to do it again.
Yeah, it certainly can.
I've found that to be true for other types of endurance sports as well, such as the marathon. Like, if you don't really have the heart for it, it can be difficult to take it on. And I did my first marathon in 2019, which was a trail marathon that went pretty well. Could have gone a little better. I had to walk the last 6 miles just because I couldn't run anymore.
Been there.
Yeah, and then I ran the last quarter mile to finish. I attempted to do another marathon in 2019, but I was very undertrained. I got sick before the race, so that cut into my training time. And ultimately, around mile 18, I had to quit just because my knees were hurting so much, and I didn't think I could finish it. I felt like I couldn't run anymore, let alone walk. So in a way, like, it kind of felt like I was regressing. But since then I've been doing cross training. I've lost a lot of weight. I've been riding my bike a lot more. I've been running more frequently lately with my dog. So I think I'm getting back to a place of willingness to want to do another marathon.
Yeah, that's cool. I view it as kind of just for me, it's very much kind of hitting the mental reset button and just giving me a kick in the ass. Whenever I'm feeling like I'm a little below where I'd like to be in terms of kind of my operating level, I'll just sign up for a race or something like this and just humble myself and give it really comes back to building mental grit for me whether it's in the gym, on the bike, on the trail. It comes back to just building that mental grit and doing hard things on a consistent basis.
Yeah. So are you signed up for any races now?
Not currently. No.
Okay.
No. I'm in a kind of weight training phase. I've been trying to push weight training more.
Cool. Are you doing that? I know you like weight train consistently for health, as well as for muscle gain. Have you done any bodybuilding, or do you have any interest in doing bodybuilding?
I love building my body
and
building my mind, but I really don't have any interest in going on stage and competing against other guys. I know what it feels like to shred down to really low body fat percentages. And for me, that really just kind of takes the fun out of the sport of bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get like sub 8% body fat, it's just, for me at least, it's just pure misery.
Yeah, I've heard it's not very sustainable long term. You know, you're trying to get to that peak level to get to the stage and really show off your best physique, but sometimes you're feeling like crap when you're doing it, you know.
Usually you're feeling like crap.
And I know you're also busy promoting your business, the Vegan Gym / Vegan Superhero Academy, of which I'm a proud graduate. I learned some very valuable lessons from Vegan Superhero Academy doing it during 2020 to 2021. And I think, you know, coming off like the first year of the pandemic, it definitely helped me to establish a new baseline and a better relationship with myself and form better habits that I have been continuing to implement as I continue my journey as a vegan superhero, as an advocate for the vegan lifestyle, and, you know, trying to consistently better myself through my nutrition as well as through my personal bodybuilding, I guess you would say, like you described for yourself. So going back, Leif is the co-founder of the Vegan Gym / Vegan Superhero Academy, which is an online platform and community for people who are plant-based, mostly vegans. Though, do you work with vegetarians as well?
If they're ready to go vegan, yeah. It's about generally about 15% of our clients come into the program not being vegan, but wanting to go fully vegan. And we just coach them through the nutritional transition there.
Mm-hmm. And what sort of guidance do you provide to people who are not already vegan that are interested in transitioning?
Really, the main part comes down to how do I implement things on the nutrition side to ensure that I am getting all of the nutrients I need. Specifically, we're looking at calories, protein, and micronutrients. So how do I thrive on a plant-based diet without worrying about being deficient in any way with my nutrition? So that's really what we coach people through. So once you unlock the nutrition component, And then we build on top of that a solid training program. We get you immersed in a community of other people who are on a very similar journey. That's when we see people thrive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can speak to that experience being very transformative as well. It's a positive, engaging community, and people are constantly supporting each other with a similar mindset. So what you guys have built there and continue to build is very impressive. And I encourage anyone who's interested in going vegan and, building muscle, especially building more endurance, to check out the Vegan Gym and the Vegan Superhero Academy. I know Leif, he co-founded that business with his brother, Anders, and you since brought on a variety of coaches from around the world and across the country. So there's some in Australia. Are there any in any other parts of the country, parts of the world?
Yeah, actually, we've been hiring a lot of international coaches recently. We have 17 coaches on our team now. We just hired our newest coach is from Scotland. We just hired someone from South Africa. We've got 2 coaches from the UK, one from Dubai. We have one living in Mexico. We have 2 from Australia. So yeah, we've become pretty spread out.
Yeah, got vegans all over the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you guys started the Vegan Gym, what year was that approximately?
So the idea for the Vegan Gym was created in 2016, and I had gone vegan in 2014, and I felt like I was learning a lot about the importance of focusing on whole foods, making sure you're getting in plenty of a variety of different micronutrient-packed fruits and vegetables. But I was really struggling on the fitness side, and I didn't know how to properly fuel my body. I felt like I really had stuff dialed in with my nutrition. I was listening to a lot of the leading plant-based nutrition doctors and dietitians at that point, and they all kind of advocated in general a low-fat, whole food, plant-based diet, which has really been shown to be ideal for health in many respects. So I was trying to implement that while also building muscle, and I was really struggling to do it. Then I kind of had an epiphany, and I realized that I was following people who were advocating for a healthy diet, but they didn't look the way that I wanted to look. And so I thought, if I do what they are doing, but I want to look more muscular than them, I want to be stronger, I want to look like I lift weights, I want to look like an athlete, I realized I need to kind of bridge the fitness world with this health-focused, plant-based nutrition world. So then I started just diving into the scientific literature, and my background is in engineering. So that's kind of how I think. I just will look into the research and dissect it and pull out the main points and then implement those and kind of be my own guinea pig through that process. So I started doing that and realized, hey, protein intake is important, calorie intake is important, and then all of the other micronutrient stuff that I was learning from these other plant-based doctors, that's also important, but we need to blend all of it together to be able to not only be super healthy, but also super fit. So I pulled all that stuff together. And then I was still working as an engineer. I was not planning to start a company, but I was like, hey, I loved writing as well. So I thought, hey, I'll start a vegan fitness blog and I'll just share what I have learned through this journey so I can help other people, hopefully, not have to go through 2 years of trial and error and figure this out on their own. So I started writing articles, and then people started reaching out and asking, hey, do you do meal plans? Hey, can you do coaching? And at first I was just like, well, no, I don't do that, but I'll give you some, I'll point you in the right direction. So right. I would do that, or I'd refer them to some other people I knew in the space. But then one day I was just like, you know what? Yeah, I can help you with the nutrition plan. And then down the road, I said, yeah, I could help you with some coaching. And it just kind of naturally grew from there. Then I invited my brother Anders to kind of join me. And then in 2018 is really when the vegan gym actually became something that we started building more actively. And I was still working full time at that point, but my brother Anders, he dropped out of school and he just worked on this, and I supported both of us for a while. Just I would go to work, come home, and then jump into helping out. He would kind of make sure things were running throughout the day while I was gone, and I just financially supported us with food, our apartment, and all that as we just got things going.
So when did you become vegan?
I went vegan in May of 2014. So just recently past 9 years.
And what about Anders?
He went vegan in 2016. So that was, he was 2 years, a little over 2 years behind me. And he actually, he was in, so I went vegan because of my health. I was diagnosed with cancer in college, and that really shifted my perspective about what it means to be healthy. And I realized that I thought my diet up to that point was healthy. I was eating lots of lean meats. I was eating a good deal of vegetables. So I was really trying, but I was heavily emphasizing animal-based protein, tons of eggs, tons of meat, and lots of whey protein shakes. So so yeah, there's more to that story, but I went vegan, and then he got out of the military. He served in the Marines for 4 years. He decided that wasn't the life path that he wanted to take, and he served his 4 years, got out, and then moved in with me. And we just had a refrigerator that was like split down the middle. It was just like straight meat and then straight vegetables.
Yeah.
And I just would kind of, I don't know, like I'm not actually sure if you have a brother, but I
do actually.
Okay. So then you know what it's like.
Yeah. And he's not vegan.
Okay. All right. Well, let me give you some tips then. It really came down to just me like planting little seeds, and frankly, like from his perspective, he said I was maybe a little annoying about it, but I think that's how brothers generally are. So yeah. I would just make little comments here and there, like, "Hey, yeah, you really shouldn't be eating that," or he was from my perspective a little on the chunkier side. He thought he just had like beefed up, which he had, and he was a lot stronger through the Marines, but he had a solid 50 pounds that he could lose. And he ended up taking on going vegetarian as a challenge. And he's like, okay, fine. Like I'll try going vegetarian. He did. And he started just kind of melting off some of that excess body fat.
Uh-huh.
And then he decided to sign up for a physique competition, a bodybuilding competition in 2016. And he went fully vegan for his bodybuilding prep.
Oh, wow.
So he just like dove right in, and he ended up winning first in a bunch of different categories for his bodybuilding competition. And then he was hooked.
Do you know why he decided to switch to vegan for the competition?
Yeah, it really boiled down to to realizing that, hey, going vegetarian, kind of in his own words, wasn't so bad. It wasn't as bad as he thought it was going to be. And then he's like, okay, well, I feel like I should take this up a level. And he had been vegetarian for about 9 months at that point. And then through that process, he had just learned more about why it's important to be more plant-based. So then he just decided, hey, I'm mostly there. Let's ditch the dairy and just go all in. And if I can compete on stage as a vegan, then clearly it's a lifestyle that can work for me long term. So that's how it happened.
Hashtag ditch the dairy. I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys are pretty close in age, right?
Yeah, I'm 22 months older, so just under 2 years older.
Okay. How long have you guys lived together? Was it since he got out of the military?
We have lived together since he got out of the military. So he moved into the apartment that I shared actually with another guy. So it was the three of us. And then that guy got married, he moved out, and then we decided to get a little bit of a nicer apartment. We were both working at that time. So it was easier to afford a bit of a nicer place. And then shortly thereafter, he ends up quitting his job, and then things got a lot tighter. But anyways, we moved into a new apartment, and he recently just purchased a house in Oklahoma City, and I moved in with him. So yeah, we've been living together for, I guess, like the last 7 years. And so we spent most of our lives living together.
That's cool. I didn't know you guys had moved. I know you were in Pennsylvania before. That's where you grew up, right?
Yes. We grew up in New Hampshire, but I was all of our family really lives in Pennsylvania. So I have lots of ties to Pennsylvania, and we had lived there for 15 years before we moved to Oklahoma.
Okay. How do you like Oklahoma?
It's all right.
It's not different.
That's a lot different. I do appreciate the warmer weather, but it's really flat. I miss kind of the outdoors, and honestly, I've been missing my family. So it's been kind of an adjustment. The intention was always for it to be a short-term thing. I'm kind of looking for my long-term kind of residence, and it's not going to be in Oklahoma. I'll put it that way.
Do you have any idea where you would like to live?
Colorado has always been at the top of that list. Mm-hmm. Colorado, and I've been also interested in the Pacific Northwest. My kind of ideal environment is being around mountains, being around lakes, rivers, hiking, kayaking, anything kind of outdoors. That's what I'm most interested in. So those are kind of the areas that I've been looking at.
Sounds like Colorado would be perfect for you.
I've spent quite a bit of time in Colorado, and it's hard to beat.
I want to talk about how that business has scaled up over the years. How did you get to the point of wanting to quit your job and feeling like you could rely on that income to support you and Anders?
Yeah. So when I decided to leave my job, when I mentally decided, not actually left, when I mentally said, hey, I'm going to make the leap and the vegan gym is where I want to be. That's what I want to be doing long term. We had just broken into the 6-figure per year revenue territory, which as far as businesses go is basically nothing. It was a cool milestone, but there's a massive difference between what are you doing in revenue and what can you actually pay yourself? So we had gotten, I think, like our first real year of business, I think it was like 120,000 that we did in top line revenue. And I kind of naively thought, okay, well, we're pretty close to us being able to take a small salary from the company and be able to rely on that. Well, as you're scaling, there are lots of areas of the business that you need to reinvest in. And we had one part-time person at that point, Coach Ashley. I don't know if you had any interactions with her, but we had one part-time person at that point, and basically we would pay all of our expenses at the end of the month, and then whatever we had left over in our bank, we would just send to her. That's really how we operate. So at the end of every month, we're back at zero. Wow. In terms of our cash balance. So Anders and I, as I touched on, we were solely living through my savings and income. Mm-hmm. And I kind of put a date on the calendar where I was going to jump and go all in on the vegan gym. And that was at the end of 2018. So I was actually working for my uncle. My uncle owned an engineering company, and I was working for him. And that was a really difficult conversation because I truly enjoyed the work that I was doing. I found a lot of fulfillment through that work, and I truly love engineering, and I had just a really comfortable work environment. I liked the people I worked with, and my uncle's a really great guy. So that was a difficult conversation for me. Really difficult. Like, I was petrified. And I just felt like I was letting him down. I felt that it was, and I was also frankly kind of scared about jumping in and going all in on myself. Mm-hmm. But I just kind of drew a line in the sand and I said, okay, this is what it is. I put in my resignation and gave him a 3-month notice just to make sure he had all the time he needed to navigate that transition. And that was in the fall of 2018. And then the last work day of 2018 before the holiday break was my last day of work.
Thanks for watching Evolved Podcast. This episode is brought to you by our sponsors, True Nutrition. Use Evolved Podcast to get 5% off all True Nutrition supplements. I'm personally a fan of their soy isolate vegan protein powder, available in a variety of flavors and strengths from light to heavy. They also have non-vegan protein powders if that's not your thing. I recommend the cookies and cream flavor in heavy strength, and I add it to waffles, oatmeal, and protein shakes. They're delicious. Check out their wide range of supplements at affordable prices that are third-party tested and verified for content quality. They are able to provide such great prices because their supplements come direct from the manufacturer without any marketing gimmicks or fancy labels. Visit TrueNutrition.com to supplement your workouts and nutrition. Use code EvolvedPodcast to get 10% off all weight train and Athleticity gym gear and apparel. No matter what you need for your workouts, they have the gear to help you get it done. They have great clothes for the gym wear, for men and women. Visit weighttrain.com for all your gym gear needs. Last is not dead yet. Use code EvolvedPodcast to get 15% off all clothing and accessories. The goat shorts and shirts are some of the most comfortable clothing I've ever worn, and they have the coolest designs. However, their drops are only available in limited quantities, so get your favorites while you can, and be on the lookout for other drops you're stoked on. Visit notdeadyet.com for clothing to remind the world you are not dead yet. Now, back to the show.
And then it just kind of felt a little surreal to no longer be going into a work environment. It's like, okay, now I was just in my apartment, had a little desk in my room, computer, internet, and that was basically it. And it's like, okay, now you need to go out and actually produce money to grow a business and hire more people and pay yourself. And in hindsight, to this day, I don't really know if it's a good or bad thing. I'll chalk it up to be a good thing probably because it all worked out. But I ended up jumping into business, my own business full time, about a year before I paid myself a cent from the company. So there was a year where we were really just kind of scraping by.
Yeah.
Thankfully I had some savings and we just lived on that. And we got more and more frugal as time went on because I kind of realized, hey, this is still not where we need it to be to actually take any money out. And then I also remember this one instance where we went to a in-person conference with a company called ClickFunnels, which is really big in kind of the marketing space, online marketing. And we ended up putting 30 grand on a credit card for a coaching program that they offered. So I just remember some really dark days where I was just like, hey, we're tens of thousands of dollars in credit card debt, living on dwindling savings, kind of going to zero in our bank account at the end of every month. And I remember we really didn't pay ourselves. So that was the very beginning of 2019 when I jumped in. We truly didn't really pay ourselves. It was actually over a year. It was more I guess it was early-ish 2020 where we started paying ourselves anything. So I think it was 15 months. And in fact, our mom even stepped in and for Christmas 2019, our Christmas presents was rent money for our apartment. And yeah, I just hear so many stories of people who had it way, way worse than we did. So it wasn't the end of the world. We could have just given up the apartment, which would have happened very soon thereafter if we didn't start getting some serious momentum, and then moved in with our parents or something. It would have been fine. We would have made it work out, but it definitely would have been a blow to our egos. So anyways, it was a really difficult time. And then COVID happened in March 2020. And that's when we were just starting to see some notable increase in our revenue. Was early 2020. And then COVID happened and we thought, this is the end. We're screwed. And it ended up, in hindsight, I think, actually being pretty helpful in we were just at the right place at the right time for a transition to online fitness services. And yeah, in hindsight, that actually really worked to our advantage. But it was still a really difficult time. That wasn't immediately obvious. In fact, it took us a few months of going through COVID and the transition for us to realize, oh, okay, we're not going to die. And we can actually use this as some further momentum. So anyways, yeah, it's I just have so much respect for people who are for entrepreneurs, people who are working to build projects and build companies. I know how incredibly difficult it is, and you have to be equal parts kind of driven and crazy to to push that stuff forward, because it's incredibly difficult and the numbers don't lie. Most people don't make it, at least certainly not on their first try. And the vegan gym actually was not my first stab at entrepreneurship. I actually started 3 companies prior to the vegan gym that all failed for one reason or another. So been there, done that, know what that's like. And still, I feel like the vegan gym very nearly didn't get off the ground. And there are always challenges. So I don't know if you ever totally get out of the woods.
Yeah.
At least I haven't seen it yet.
What a journey, man. I mean, how far in like debt did you guys get? Like, I'm sure you come out of the red at this point, right?
Yes, we've been out of the red for a little bit now.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact number, but it was probably somewhere on the order of 50 grand in credit card debt that we got to. I could look into it, but yeah, it's not a place anyone wants to be.
No,
but
not at all.
I've heard lots of stories of entrepreneurs who just, you make a bet on yourself, you make a bet on an idea, and at the end of the day, you just have to do whatever it takes. And for many entrepreneurs, that seems to involve credit card debt or some kind of debt. And yeah, that was the case for us. But thankfully, we paid that off pretty quickly, and we haven't been in debt since. So yeah.
And with the other businesses that you started before the vegan gym, can you just briefly describe what those were?
Yeah. So the first was a lawn care company, and that I started that kind of in my teenage years. So I don't know exactly what you would call a real business, but that was definitely my first real shot at building something. It's kind of ironic that like that business, for example, I started because I just wanted to make some extra money. And I think a lot of that stemmed from just the financial kind of insecurity of our family. Mm-hmm. Our dad was a pastor. Our mom was a stay-at-home mom. And although we had an amazing childhood and I wouldn't change anything, we were struggling financially. And we had ration food and expectations around what things we can buy, what things we can't. There were plenty of things we never asked for because we knew it wasn't going to happen. So I think early on, a lot of that desire to build a business was fueled by just wanting to never experience that financial insecurity again. And I knew, hey, I never want my family in the future to be in that position, because I know what this feels like, and it feels terrible.
Yeah.
I never wanted to tell my kid that we couldn't have a special experience or enjoy things in life because we were financially constrained. So anyways, the first one was a lawn care company, and that kind of just fizzled out. The second one was actually a vegan dessert company. So I was making these it was like these basically healthy vegan chocolate balls that were filled with a blend of fruit and nuts and stuff like that. And I actually got that product into a bunch of grocery stores, and I ended up kind of selling the business for essentially what my grandmother actually kind of fueled that company and invested in that company financially to help it get off the ground, and basically broke even when we sold it. So that was felt like a little bit of a higher level of entrepreneurial success. And then the third one was a supply chain software company that I started with 2 friends from college. And that company had lots of promise, but it was actually just starting to, at one point, I was working full time as an engineer. I was trying to build that startup with 2 friends. And I was also doing the blogging for the vegan gym and starting to work with clients and help people out, and realizing, oh, this could actually scale somewhere. So there was a period of maybe 6 months or so where I was juggling all 3 of those. And I eventually told my friends, I very clearly saw that, hey, this supply chain software company, the name was Enceladus. I very clearly saw that Enceladus had far more financial potential than the vegan gym. At least that's what I thought then. And frankly, I guess I kind of still feel that way. But I realized, hey, this is super difficult to get a business off the ground. If I am not 100% totally passionate about this and willing to work my face off every single day to get this off the ground, then it's not going to happen.
Right.
That's when I had that honest conversation with myself, I realized that I needed to pursue vegan health and fitness, because that's what really lit me on fire. And the supply chain software stuff, even though it was cool, I didn't have that same, like, want to jump out of bed at 4 a.m. and work on it before my job kind of feeling. So that's why I decided to throw in the towel on that and focus on the vegan gym.
So what happened with that business? Was it made defunct when you left the company?
It's more of kind of like a passion project now for one of my friends, and he is kind of working on it kind of in the background, and it probably won't go anywhere. But we got a patent for the technology. We were making some cool connections. We were working on getting some kind of serious investment in the company. So it definitely had potential. It just wasn't really what I wanted to be a part of. And then another one of, so it was 3 of us, and then another guy ended up bowing out as well. So it's, yeah, I'm still friends with all of them, and it's everything's in a good spot. But yeah, I'm not sure where it will go, but likely nowhere serious.
Yeah, understandable. So when I was initially attracted to joining the vegan gym and vegan superhero academy, I came across it through targeted Facebook ads. And I've also seen some on Instagram. So, those advertisements are, of course, designed to attract a very specific audience. And at that time, I was looking for something to improve my health and wellness, to improve my body composition. And I think it was sort of a right place, right time, and veganism, as well as, plant-based diets. Those have been becoming more and more popular in the mainstream of current culture. So it's really cool to see the lifestyle of veganism spreading, especially through weightlifting and endurance sport.
Yeah, it's really cool. I really have loved playing a small role in that. I feel so driven by our mission, which is to help 1 million vegans get into the best shape of their lives. And that's because I really, truly believe that the more healthy and fit vegans there are in the world, the faster veganism will spread, which not only, from my perspective, really helps people who go through that transition across a multitude of ways, health being one of them, but also I think one of the coolest gifts that veganism has given me is just a new perspective on the world and understanding really how everything is interconnected. And I've never really considered myself to be like a spiritual person or anything, but I think there's just certain energy that you put out and kind of receive in the world. And for me, veganism is an important part of that. So I think that's really cool. Obviously, we're also by transitioning to a plant dominant diet, whether that's fully vegan or vegetarian or mostly plant-based, it's all a step in the right direction to minimizing animal cruelty and suffering, which I find to be really important. I see so many people who talk about loving their pets and then they eat a burger. And I would just really love to see more people kind of take a step back and look at that and understand that cows and pigs and chickens are living beings as well. And they have all the same emotions as dogs and cats and other animals we love. And they feel pain, they feel joy, they feel loving connections with friends and family members. And I think I've been on the other side of that. I've consumed tons of animal products. I've eaten lots of meat. I understand what it's like to not have kind of making that mental connection. So I don't vibe with the kind of elitist form of veganism where we're kind of turning our noses up at people who aren't vegan, because I totally get it. But I would just encourage people who aren't yet vegan to work on making that connection. And then, of course, there's the planet as well. What are we doing to our planet to ensure that our kids and future generations have a healthy, vibrant place to live? I think that's an incredibly important conversation. And yeah, sure, let's drive Teslas and plant trees, but what are we actually doing to really minimize the contribution to further climate change?
Yeah,
a lot of that is driven by the animal agriculture industry, and that's a pretty straightforward switch, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. You're preaching to the choir over here, but other people are going to hear this, and I hope it resonates for them. I just feel like veganism, after doing a little bit of research, not even that much, you just start to realize that everything is so interconnected, and it does sort of check all the boxes when it comes to human health, animal welfare, environmental sustainability, and it just improves your overall quality of life as well. And it's so great that there is the research and the examples of people who are doing it to show that you don't need to eat animal products to live a healthy lifestyle. You don't need animal products to be strong. You don't need animal products to be an endurance athlete. Whatever you like to do, you can do it with a plant-based diet, whether you are fully vegan or you only eat vegan like once or twice a week. Like, it all makes a difference. And of course we want people to be as plant-based as possible, but every little bit counts.
Yeah, it really does. And just to really kind of highlight the point you made about being able to be strong and healthy, that's really baked into the core of our mission and what we're trying to accomplish. Because when I think the most common stereotype that I see of vegans is, okay, yeah, I guess I could just eat plants, but I don't want to look skinny and weak and not be able to build muscle or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I just really want to break that stereotype. There's a strong man named Patrick Baboumian. He was featured in the Game Changers, and he had a quote that went something along the lines of, people say they want to be as strong as an ox without acknowledging that oxes are plant-based.
Yeah.
And the same thing is true for lots of really strong animals in the world. Gorillas are plant-based. Elephants are plant-based. We've kind of built a brand around rhinos, because from my perspective, rhinos are the most badass vegans on the planet. Rhinos are vegan. Yeah. And there are just so many examples of really strong animals that would frankly kick the crap out of any human.
Right.
And they're 100% plant-based and have been for their whole lives. So I just think the idea that you can't be strong and fit on a plant-based diet has been debunked in all sorts of ways. And I guess for anyone who's listening to this who is not plant-based or vegan, like, it's totally okay. And I'm not here to shame anyone. As I said, I've been there, and I totally understand. And it's okay that you have not made that shift, and you can kind of look at that information and do your own research on your own time, and but I just ask that you have an open mind and are willing to interact with new information that might contradict other things you've believed. And I think it's important to have strong beliefs that are loosely held. And if you had asked me 10 years ago, hey, what do you think of, I didn't even know what vegans were 10 years ago. Even like a year before I went vegan, I couldn't even told you what it was. Yeah. But if you had said, hey, like, you should consider going vegan, I would have all the same responses. I would have all the same stereotypes. I would say the same things. So I truly understand.
Yeah, of course. We're all humans having a human experience, and many people, us included, were not vegan before we were vegan. And, we've seen the other side of it. And, we can speak to both experiences with that knowledge. And, I was the same way. Like, I scoffed at vegans and vegetarians. I didn't eat tofu until I became vegan. Frankly, didn't know what tofu was, but, I love it now. And, I think in part I have the Vegan Superhero Academy to thank for that. So I appreciate you and Anders, as well as the rest of the coaches that I've had the pleasure of meeting, for being part of my vegan journey. And I know that you guys had your first community meetup last year for the retreat, and you're planning the second retreat this year, right?
It's actually the third retreat.
Okay.
Yeah, we had our first in fall of 2021, but then we moved to a new location last year, and it was much bigger, and now we're going to make it even bigger. So yeah, we're gearing up for that, our Vegan Superhero Retreat, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. And is it in Pennsylvania, or is it going to be in Oklahoma?
It's going to be in Pennsylvania. Yeah, okay. It's in the Pocono Mountains.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure that'll be a fun time for everyone who's able to attend. I know that is open to Vegan Superhero members and alumni, as well as their guests. And you guys have great guest speakers coming, such as Robert Cheek, right? Who's been a long-standing part of the vegan superhero retreat. He's another plant-based bodybuilder, right?
Yes. Yeah. So we got Robert Cheek coming, and also Dotsie Bausch. She's a vegan Olympian and founder of Switch for Good, which is all about taking dairy out of your diet.
Hashtag ditch the dairy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I heard about Dotsie on another podcast. It may have been Rich Roll's podcast. She's super cool.
Yeah, she is.
And speaking of podcasts, I know the Vegan Gym has a podcast as well. How's that going?
Yeah, the Vegan Gym podcast. It's been kind of cruising along. I think it's been like 5 years since we started it. And one thing, it's, as a business owner, you wear lots of hats. So I'm trying to run the business and also really focus on content creation and kind of make sure that stuff's rolling. I've had the perspective of, I will only put out content that I feel really inspired to make. I'm trying to make that a very regular thing, but I also don't want to just get on and talk about the same stuff that I don't really feel inspired to kind of add to the conversation about. So yeah, things have been going well. I had a really cool experience recently. I was actually in Virginia. It was like 2 months ago, and I was attending the Fairfax Veg Fest there.
Right.
And I had the opportunity to interview Dr. T. Colin Campbell, who actually was the reason I went plant-based in the first place. I read his book, The China Study, and it's all about disease prevention and how to, specifically cancer. And I had just less than a year prior to reading his book, I had been diagnosed with cancer. So yeah, that was just a really cool full circle moment to be sitting down with him and interviewing the person who got me started on this path. And probably without him, there's a good chance the Vegan Gym wouldn't exist. So it was cool to have him on the Vegan Gym podcast and create that full circle moment. So yeah, that interview will be live in about 2 weeks.
Awesome. And people look out for that. Yeah, he's a legend. He is one of the, more well-known doctors within the plant-based community. He's been featured in a bunch of other documentaries that I've seen. I think he was in Forks Over Knives, What the Health. I believe he may have been in the documentary that I saw that made me want to go vegan called Food Choices. Though I'm not sure if he was in it. I know Dr. Michael Greger.
I think he was involved in it.
Yeah. But yeah, super cool. Great guy. I haven't had a chance to meet him personally, but he seems like a really nice person and very knowledgeable.
He's so down to earth, and it's so cool when you meet people in person that you've been following for a while, and they're just like the same people in person. They're just like totally cool, like people you'd want to just spend time with. So I've really had that experience with everyone in, I guess, specifically, I really only hang out in the vegan health and fitness space anymore. So I guess specific to that kind of environment, I've just had really great interactions with people like Dr. T. Colin Campbell, Robert Cheek, Dotsie Bausch, etc.
Awesome. Yeah, I really wanted to make that Fairfax Vegetarian Festival, but unfortunately I couldn't make it up to Northern Virginia. I just had some conflicting schedule plans that weekend. But hopefully next time you guys are in Virginia, we can make it happen.
Yeah, if they come back next year, I think we'll make that happen again.
Cool. And if you guys are ever interested in coming to the Richmond Vegetarian Festival, definitely let me know.
Yeah, there was we've actually, I think the event organizer reached out to us and asked about it because she saw us at the Veg Fest. So
okay. So looking towards wrapping up, what would you say is your biggest why for doing the vegan gym, living a plant-based lifestyle, being a role model to other vegans and other people who are interested in being vegan?
I feel that it's really important to leave the world a better place than you found it.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that I would really call that kind of the North Star of what we do at the vegan gym. I just want to, every interaction that we have with people, I want to help them in some way to live a happier, healthier life. Whether that means being fully vegan or just taking baby steps towards a more plant-based lifestyle. I think every little bit has an impact, both for people's health and people's and then also for the animals or planet, kind of all these reasons. So I think that's really what drives me. That's how I kind of make decisions. What can we do to produce the greatest positive impact in the world? That's really determine our moves as a company and my own moves personally.
Right on. I just had one more question about your podcast and like your content creation. I was wondering where you draw your inspiration from for creating that content that you're really excited about.
From my own life experiences, really. I love talking about the mindset component of health and fitness. And I think our audience has found that to be relatable because I didn't grow up as the jock or the athlete. That wasn't me. I was like the nerd. and to a serious extent, like that's still kind of who I feel most aligned with. Even to this day, I've accomplished a lot in the world of fitness, and I do consider myself to be an athlete, but I don't really feel like I've done anything really that special. Nothing that any average person wouldn't be able to accomplish. So I really rely on the mindset component of health and fitness to continue pushing me to get into the gym, get my workouts done, check off big races or events or other fitness accomplishments. So I love talking about kind of the mental things that I struggle with and talk about how I've kind of worked through those things. So yeah, really my own personal experiences is what dictates those conversations. I've really come to love the interview part of podcasting. So I have been, for a while, it was basically just me and Anders behind mics, just talking with each other. And I think those were cool episodes, but I really love interviewing people and just trying to get out special, unique stories and narratives that they maybe I've never heard them share before.
Yeah.
So
I relate to that so much.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it really is. Getting to know another person on a deeper level, getting to hear their stories, and having a podcast. Of course, you get to share that, with other people. And you create this platform, this space for, the sharing of stories, much like, in older times when we would share stories around a campfire or around a dinner table or whatever, it just takes back a certain level of our humanity. And, I think storytelling is a big part of that. And in a time where, we're all more interconnected online, through podcasting, we can have these personal connections and share stories, share experiences, and feel more connected on a personal level. That's really been missing. So it's really cool to see, these long form conversations becoming more popular, and even short form interviews are great too. And I think, that is a big reason why I love it.
That's a lot of fun. I really feel like it's kind of that you're kind of on a treasure hunt. You're trying to like find those gems in a person's story. And yeah, as we've been working to build more of kind of a content production team within the vegan gym, I've become more involved in that storytelling component, and it's a lot of fun to brainstorm how best to share a moving, powerful story. And I love pulling that out of interviews. So yeah, that's a lot of kind of the passion behind our podcast.
Awesome. Next is our PMA Warrior of the Week. Who is someone who inspires you to maintain a positive mindset?
There are a bunch of people in my life who I could name. I feel really blessed to be surrounded by positive people who are kind of all on a similar journey to me and working to either be directly involved in the vegan gym or working to improve the lives of people in some other way. I think the person who kind of just more generally, the person who really inspires me and helps me to maintain a really positive mindset and outlook would be the single mom with 5 kids who joins our program and decides to commit to her health and fitness in the face of tons of adversity. And just to see, I really get so much inspiration and positive energy from our clients who go through difficult periods and triumph over those. And it inspires me to see people commit to themselves and invest in themselves with their health and fitness, and do that in the face of adversity and challenges. That gives me so much hope and inspiration for the future, and really drives me every day to make our program better, reach new people, and leave the world a better place.
Awesome. Next is our mindset moment. What is a quote, tip, or phrase that you use to help you stay positive in difficult circumstances?
There's an entrepreneur I follow who has these stickers that say no negativity, and he plasters them all over his company headquarters and sells them on his website and stuff. So yeah, I think the opposite of positive is negative, and I think that's a pretty succinct phrase that for me kind of hits the nail on the head. Just like this idea of no negativity. And I always try to, one thing that we do in our community, our vegan superhero community, and I think you're aware of this, is we have something called our consistency streak program, and people will post their consistency streaks every day. Mm-hmm. And the first line that you need to write is, today I am grateful for ... and you need to finish that sentence. So I think focusing on gratitude, I think focusing on the positives, I think focusing on what you have. And let's be real. Like, if you're listening to this podcast right now, the amount of kind of privilege and opportunity that you have, frankly, in relation to the majority of the rest of the world, is profound. And there's just so much to be grateful for. I try to stop throughout my day and just acknowledge, like, hey, I've got running water. I can walk 20 feet that way and get really clean filtered drinking water that tastes delicious. Many people in the world can't do that. Or, hey, I can go to the gym and work out. Hey, I can work on a laptop from anywhere in the world. Like, the list just goes on. And every single day, as I'm building my consistency streak and posting in my group, I'm constantly coming up with new things to be grateful for. So I guess that helps me to really focus on the positive all the time, even when there are dark days, and I still face many of those moments and days. And just that simple phrase, no negativity, I think is valuable. Nothing, this is obvious, but nothing positive comes from negative energy.
Right.
And I think it's important to just remind yourself that, hey, no negativity, things could be worse. No negativity, you have a lot to be grateful for. No negativity, it's just not even helpful. Why waste the mental energy focusing on negative things?
So it sounds to me like you're not talking about what some people would call toxic positivity, where you're not completely negating the negative, but you're just trying to make more room for the positive. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think I would say, hey, in many situations, I'm just like, hey, this sucks. Okay, what can I do to move forward?
Yeah.
And I think that's important. People who convince themselves that nothing negative should be going on, or try to convince themselves that should be no negativity at all in their lives. It's just like, hey, that's not reality. And actually, mm-hmm. I'm a very firm believer that growth and comfort cannot coexist. Therefore, growth only happens during difficult times. Difficult times are a product of potentially negative circumstances. That's life. That's what it is. And it's an opportunity to move forward in a positive direction. But if we don't face any negativity, if we don't face any trials, then I think you're going to lead a pretty dull life. And I don't think you're going to really accomplish what you want to accomplish.
I agree. Yeah. You need to fail before you can succeed. And, if you don't try, you'll never fail. And there is so much more out there worth living for, but you have to fail in order to succeed. So thank you very much, Leif. Great talking to you. Great hearing your story. If people want to connect with you or the Vegan Gym, where can they find you?
Yeah, it's been a pleasure chatting with you as well, Joe. Thank you for your time and the invitation to be on your podcast. The best place to connect with me is just thevegangym.com. You can check out what we do there. And we also, if you want to look at us up on any other platform. It's just the Vegan Gym. We've been pushing really hard into YouTube content recently. So there's going to be a growing kind of library of videos on the Vegan Gym YouTube channel. So yeah, that's the best place to learn more and kind of see our work.
All right. Thanks, Leif. Take care.
Thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching Evolved Podcast. Follow at evolvedpodcast.co on Instagram for weekly updates. Subscribe to Evolved Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and like your favorite episodes. Production and editing by Joe Fitzpatrick. Our theme music, Endless Cruise, is written and performed by Fingers, spelled F1NG3RS.